Tensions between the United States and Iran have once again reached a boiling point. Recent strong statements from former and current political leader Donald Trump have sparked global fear, with headlines suggesting that World War III could be around the corner. But how real is that threat? Is this political pressure, military posturing, or the beginning of something far more dangerous? This detailed report breaks down the history, the current warning, the military movements, global alliances, economic risks, and the real probability of a third world war. 1. Understanding the background. Why the US and Iran are enemies. To understand today's crisis, we must go back decades. Relations between Washington and Tehran have been hostile since 1979, when the Iranian Revolution overthrew the US-backed Shah and replaced him with an Islamic republic. Soon after, Iranian students seized the US embassy in Tehran, holding American diplomats hostage for 444 days. That crisis permanently damaged relations. Since then, the US has imposed heavy sanctions on Iran. Iran has accused America of trying to destabilize its government. Both countries have clashed indirectly through proxy groups across the Middle East. The most explosive issue remains Iran's nuclear program. 2. The nuclear deal and its collapse in 2015. Iran signed a nuclear agreement with the US, European nations, Russia, and China. The deal limited Iran's uranium enrichment in exchange for sanctions relief. After that, sanctions were reimposed. Iran gradually increased uranium enrichment. Tensions escalated sharply. Fast forward to today. Iran is enriching uranium at levels far closer to weapons grade than before. Western intelligence agencies believe Iran could potentially develop nuclear weapons capability if it chooses to. Trump's latest warning revolves around this exact issue. 3. What did Trump actually say? In recent statements, Donald Trump issued a strong warning to Iran. He reportedly gave Iran a short deadline to accept new nuclear terms. He warned of very bad consequences if Iran refuses. He stated that all options are on the table, a phrase widely understood to include military strikes. Importantly, this is not a formal declaration of war, but it is the kind of language that signals possible military escalation. The warning is meant to pressure Iran into negotiations, but it also increases global anxiety. 4. U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. Following Trump's warning, the United States increased its military presence in the region. Reports indicate aircraft carrier strike groups moved toward the Persian Gulf. Fighter jets were repositioned. Missile defense systems were reinforced. U.S. bases in the Middle East were placed on higher alert. This military posture is designed as deterrence to show strength and prevent Iran from escalating. But it also raises the stakes. If a small incident occurs, even by mistake, it could spiral quickly. 5. Iran's response. Iran has not backed down. Iranian officials have stated they will not negotiate under threats. Any U.S. military attack will receive a decisive response. American bases in the region would be considered targets if war begins. Iran possesses ballistic missiles capable of striking regional U.S. bases, naval forces that could threaten the Strait of Hormuz, proxy militias in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. This makes any potential conflict highly complex. 6. Why people are talking about World War III. The phrase World War III trends whenever major powers appear close to conflict. But why is this situation different? Because Iran is not isolated. Potential involvement could include Israel, which sees Iran as an existential threat, Russia, which has growing strategic ties with Iran, China, which has economic and energy interests in Iran. If these powers become directly involved, the conflict could expand beyond a regional war. That is what fuels World War III fears. 7. The Israel factor. Israel has repeatedly warned that it will not allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons. In the past, Israel has conducted covert operations against Iranian nuclear facilities. Israeli officials have hinted at possible preemptive strikes. If the US strikes Iran, Israel may join. If Iran retaliates against Israel, escalation becomes inevitable. This triangular dynamic increases volatility. 8. The Russia and China angle. Russia and Iran have strengthened military cooperation in recent years. While Russia may not directly fight the US over Iran, it could provide intelligence, weapons, or diplomatic backing. China depends heavily on Middle Eastern oil. A war disrupting oil flow would hurt Beijing's economy. China would likely push for diplomacy, but global economic shock could drag major powers into confrontation indirectly. 9. The Strait of Hormuz, the global choke point. One of the biggest dangers is the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway. If Iran blocks or mines it, oil prices could skyrocket. Global markets could crash. Countries worldwide would feel economic shock. That alone could trigger broader international involvement. 10. Could the US actually invade Iran? A full invasion of Iran would be extremely difficult. Iran is geographically large, mountainous, militarily prepared for asymmetric warfare. Unlike Iraq in 2003, Iran has stronger missile systems and deeper regional influence. Most analysts believe any US action would likely be limited airstrikes, not ground invasion. But even limited strikes can spiral. 11. Political pressure inside America. Trump faces domestic political considerations. Some lawmakers demand congressional approval before war. Others support strong action against Iran. Public opinion is divided on another Middle Eastern conflict. War decisions are never purely military. They are political calculations. 12. Could Iran actually build a nuclear weapon soon? Experts estimate that Iran's breakout time, the time needed to produce enough weapons-grade uranium, has shortened significantly compared to years ago. However, building a usable nuclear warhead requires more than enriched uranium. Delivery systems and weaponization take additional time. Iran claims its nuclear program is peaceful. The West remains skeptical. 13. Economic consequences of war. If conflict erupts, oil prices could exceed $150 per barrel. Global stock markets could crash. Inflation would rise worldwide. Shipping and trade routes could be disrupted. Countries far from the Middle East would still suffer. 14. Military reality? Is WW3 likely? For World War III to begin, major world powers must directly fight each other. Currently, no NATO mobilization has occurred. No global alliances are declaring war. Diplomatic channels remain open. This suggests that while tensions are high, global war is not imminent. However, miscalculation is always possible. 15. The role of diplomacy behind the scenes. Diplomats from Europe, the Gulf states, and Asia are pushing for de-escalation. Secret negotiations often occur even when leaders use aggressive language publicly. Historically, even during extreme tensions, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, diplomacy prevented catastrophe. 16. Media and social media amplification. Headlines often exaggerate. World War III generates clicks, views, and panic. But there is no formal war declaration. There is no global mobilization. There are no direct US-Iran battlefield clashes currently. Fear spreads faster than facts.